Let's go to Senator Mike Lee in Utah. Senator, how are you, sir?
Doing great. Good to be with you.
Really good to talk to you. Sir, why do you not want Ukraine to win this war against Russia? How dare you, sir?
Now, look, I'm not a fan of Putin. I would love for Ukraine to win this war. The problem is we've already spent $113 billion on this war. Not our war to begin with, but that's more than any other country on Earth. In fact, it's more than every other country on planet Earth combined has spent. And these guys are on a different continent. This is not in our backyard. I don't think we ought to be spending another dime on this war, especially considering that we have an invasion going on in our own country across our southern border. There's nothing in this bill that fixes that. And moreover, we've got countries in Europe who haven't done their fair share. We've been paying Europe's security bill, or a significant part of it, for decades, thus facilitating their march toward European-style socialism, because we're, providing a significant part of their security umbrella, which they're not adequately sharing. So for them to preach to us and tell us that we've got to spend even more until they have matched and substantially exceeded what we have spent is, I think, laughable. I don't think we ought to be doing this. I don't think any sane country in our position would do this, and yet we're doing it unflinchingly, cheered on by the media and by the political establishment of both parties. And I think that's disgraceful.
Congressman Jerry Connolly said the Ukrainian-Russian border is our border.
Well, that's some new math there. I mean, I don't know how that's our border.
And apparently our flag. What do you think of the Democrats waving the Ukrainian flag on the House floor?
Yeah, about that. I mean, look, I get it. Sometimes people will carry or wave the flag of another country to show solidarity with that country or support. But in this instance, it's taken a little bit too far. When you contextualize that here, as we're getting ready to apparently send another $61 billion to a country that's already received more than the $113 billion from us. That's not cool, and shows a little bit too much loyalty to a country other than ours. On the floor of one of the legislative chambers of our legislative branch in the United States of America. That just doesn't sit well with me, and I don't know a lot of Americans that think that's okay.
They all thought it was giddy. There was a giddiness to it, which is just seems inappropriate, even on the topic at hand, which is war. There should be a somberness to it, at least, not a giddiness. Sir, I want to ask about FISA court. Hillary Clinton said that Trump wants to jail his political opponents, even kill his political opponents. And he's against surveilling our surveilling our foreign enemies. That's what she said, referring to this FISA court. Why was this FISA court extended without the amendment that conservatives were demanding?
Well, it was extended because the intelligence surveillance state was deferred to a degree normally referred for deity and things that we don't associate with government. Look, these guys just saluted and said, "Sir, yes, sir," when the FBI, the CIA, and the NSA said, "Oh, no, don't make us get a warrant to query U.S. citizens whose private communications had been incidentally collected and added to the FISA 702 database. Don't make us do that because that's too much work." I'm sorry, that's absurd. As a former federal prosecutor, I find the suggestion that government can't be required to comply with the Fourth Amendment and to get a warrant in circumstances like these utterly absurd. And what's even more insulting is that they claim that this bill adequately solves the problem. Well, this bill provides for more of the same things. It puts the FBI itself in charge of policing itself. It's like handing the keys to the hen house over to the fox and expecting that that's somehow going to end well, to make sure that the hen house is protected. These guys can't be trusted. And when they claim otherwise, I tell them, say that to the 19,000 donors to a political campaign whose names were queried on the FISA 702 database, or the guy who was just going to rent an apartment to what he probably didn't know was an FBI agent who ran the would-be tenant's name through the FISA 702 database, or the guy whose son worked for the FBI who suspected his dad was cheating on his mom, so naturally he ran him through the FISA 702 database. This is exactly the sort of thing that the Fourth Amendment was designed to protect U.S. citizens from.
Wow, that's great. The context, or one of the contexts of all of this, is the firm, as you call it, the Republican and Democratic leaders of both the House and the Senate, the firm. I believe last we talked, sir, maybe it was 2 times ago, you wisely were reserving judgment on the newest member of the firm, Speaker Mike Johnson. If I may, and I was as well, and I was hoping for the best. From my perspective, it seems now it's time to make a judgment. I feel like things have happened since last we talked. And our listeners have spent some time trying to explain the 180-degree turn on many issues, including this FISA court, including Ukraine funding, the 2 things we've talked about so far, that seem like a caving, if not betrayal. What are you seeing there when it comes to how a conservative Speaker of the House could cave on such issues in such a profound way?
Look, I've regarded him as a friend and an ally, as a fellow conservative. You're referring, of course, to the law firm of Schumer, McConnell, Johnson, and Jeffries. And I'm very saddened to report that he appears to have been elevated to full equity partner in the firm. I don't know how to explain it, but he's adopted the folkways of the firm just a few months into his time in office. I've never seen such a flip. I've never seen such a transition in the opposite direction from what I expected. And, I've defended a number of decisions that he's made, or defended him personally in circumstances where he had made decisions I didn't like, thinking, okay, he's going to find his feet. But I think he's found his feet. They're just not on the side of the field I had hoped and expected to see.
Mm. So I genuinely want to understand. I want to try to get it. I want to give benefits of the doubt, right? Because I think he's a good man. I'm not questioning any of this. So he says, I'm against the FISA court, and then he goes into a skiff briefing and comes out and he's for it. Or for what he voted for and against what we were saying. And you're like, well, okay, like what did you see, right? Oh, we can't tell you. So people are trying to make sense of this. We want to make sense of things. So some suggestions are, well, it's about money, right? Or there's some sort of deep state blackmail against him. The suggestion yesterday was maybe he's just out of his league. He's just getting rolled by really good negotiators. What are we to do with these?
Okay, so I tend to gravitate toward the simpler explanations out there, and to me the simplest explanation, therefore the favorite one, is that sometimes when somebody gets into a position of power, they really like being in that position of power. And if you see a change in how they operate in a legislative leadership position, perhaps it has to do with whatever it is that they've concluded about what makes it most likely that they can hold on to that position. So maybe for whatever reason, he's concluded that the very best way to hold on to this position, to remain as Speaker for a longer period of time, is to make nice with the war hawks and the intel hawks and the other militant moderate groups within the House of Representatives, even though that's not who he has been in the House of Representatives. That's not how he was elected. That's not typically how he is voted.